Um, Thank you everyone for checking out another segment of Straight No Chaser, where I get to talk sports and culture, oftentimes for fans, with the fans. Now, there's a lot going on in our country, both on the national level and the local level. We've got the third week of professional football here that's starting. We've got the start of the NBA finals that are starting tonight. The Lakers taking on the Miami Heat. We also have here on the local level, the Chicago Cubs and the Chicago White Sox that are in the middle of a pennant chase. So there's a lot going on, but nothing more important than what has been taking place on a national level. Most importantly, what transpired last night during last night's presidential debate. So there's been a lot of conversation around what transpired, some of the things that have been said. I know that there's some people out there with some strong opinions and thoughts. So before we get into it, before I dive into it, you know how we do it? You got it at home? Raise your glass. We're about to get into it. Straight No Chaser. I guess one of the other questions, moving forward, one of the questions I want to know, did you learn anything new about the candidates last night? I was hoping that I would learn something new about Vice President Biden and also about President Trump. Recently, President Trump has talked about unveiling the platinum package, which for me, in my opinion, is pandering, but for others, it is seen as an opportunity to enhance the African-American community. Within that, it's denouncing the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, as well as Antifa, and designating them as terrorist groups. Now, unpacking that, there's a couple things that I have, or a couple of issues that I have with that, a couple thoughts. First off, what are we out? 35, 36, 37 days. The way 2020 is going, everything's just running together. But we're less than 2 months out, and now you've been in office for 3+ years, and now you want to roll out packages to help African Americans and help with the African American community denounce the Ku Klux Klan, denounce Antifa, things like that. But where was that energy 3 years ago? You know, so it feels a little bit like pandering. Also, with respect to the Ku Klux Klan, that's a dated term. Really, the Ku Klux Klan and I really don't want to give this much power or much credence, but it is the brand name of white supremacy. It's the most recognizable name, but it's not the most deliberate or the most volatile or dangerous name representing white supremacy. That's kind of like taking the easy way out, because you know that that's a name that people recognize. But you have other organizations throughout the nation that are practicing white supremacy and that are really engaged in heavy counterintelligence as it relates to the militia and their organizing and how they are moving both within the civil sector as well as the private and government sector. There are several FBI reports that are out there. They have been cognizant of what's been going on as it relates to white supremacists being involved on a number of different levels in a number of different capacities throughout our nation. That's information that you can actually Google and look up. That's public information. This is not the first time it's being shared. But I think President Trump identifying the KKK, I think that was that's low-hanging fruit because that's a name that people recognize, but the Ku Klux Klan really doesn't have the same level of power and influence as they once had. There are other organizations. I'm not going to mention the organization right now that our president acknowledged yesterday, but that's a perfect example of an organization that's really on the move in terms of gaining power, gaining steam, and really becoming a game changer in our American landscape. So with that, that was one of the things I wanted to be able to hear him expand upon. What did that platinum package look like for growth within the African American community? And I didn't get the chance to hear that. With respect to President Biden, I wanted to learn something about him because up until this point, I believe he's been recognized as predominantly President Obama's vice president. I know as a senator, he had some voting practices that I didn't agree with. But with that, this was an opportunity for him to share his platform because in the past, he's been a senator. He was in the background as a vice president to President Obama. But I wanted him really to take this opportunity to say, you know what, this is what I stand for. This is how I'm going to help the American people. This is how I'm going to tackle X, Y, Z. This is how I'm going to move forward. Now, I do realize that he didn't have an opportunity to really get into some of that because there was the back and forth, and I don't think the moderator did a great job of controlling the venue and controlling the conversation and moving things forward. I think, you know, it's while you have a very strong personality and a very reserved individual, which are the yin to the yang, as a moderator of a conversation, you need to be able to control the ebb and flow. And the minute that you relinquish power, and the minute that you take away, or your authority is taken away to be able to control that situation, then things can go haywire, which they did. And that was really, really disappointing. Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace is one of the few Fox News hosts that I look at in terms of being fair and objective. In terms of his stance, while being conservative, he is fair, or he's been known to be fair, and someone that you would feel confident that you could have a rational conversation with. With that, I was looking for a little bit more out of Christopher Wallace in terms of being able to manage that situation. But as we saw, it went to hell in a handbasket real quick. You know, it was all aboard the Hot Mess Express after about the first 7 minutes. So